Pleased to present her to you, Donna Brazile.
Well, first of all, I want to thank Joe for not just his extraordinary leadership, his energy, but really his determination to ensure that this state on election night will remain in the hands of a governor who is on the side of working people, who's fighting every day for jobs and economic development to ensure that Ohioans have the best education. So, Joe, I want to thank you and all the members of Organized Labor who's here today. I'm a Labor Democrat. I'm a daughter of a laborer. I've been fighting alongside my brothers and sisters in the labor movement as long as I can go back to my own childhood. And I am always proud to have labor on my side whenever I'm out there working on campaigns, because I know when my brothers and sisters are knocking on doors, when they're going back into the factory or going to their fellow workers, their colleagues, when they're going into their community, their neighbors, when they tell you they're going to deliver, they will deliver. So I know on election night you all will deliver, and I know you're delivering now. And this weekend we're going to deliver people to the polls, and we're going to encourage people to get out and not sit home and give Rush Limbaugh something to talk about on election night.
Amen.
Thank you, Joe. And thank you. Goes without saying, members of the legislature, and what you do and all the other public servants, you have to balance the budget. You got to find the extra funds for education and health care, and you got to do a lot of things sometimes without the resources. But I can tell you, by having Barack Obama in the White House and a Democratic-controlled Congress, you all have received help. And I'm encouraged by what you said about the polls, but I'm more encouraged because I know that your leadership in this state, we're going to keep moving this country forward, and this state is going to help lead the way. Now, I have to tell you, I'm not supposed to take positions because I'm supposedly a neutral participant in the electoral cycle when you're on cable television and pundit. And I tell people, and then they made me vice chair of the party, and they told me I couldn't participate in primaries. I said, you know what, you're making me dull at the age of 50. I need to have something to say. And so I want to let you know that when it comes to this election in this state, you can't get no better than Yvette Brown. I've known Ted Strickland for a long time, but when he made the announcement, and before I even read it in jet, nowadays, you know, you get it. I was jumping up and down, and as I said, our next lieutenant governor, there's no question that Governor Strickland needs somebody at his side who understands the problems of everyday people, who still have common sense values, who's willing to roll up her sleeves and bring a freshness and a vitality to that position. And by putting this team back in charge of the State House, we have two determined public servants that will do everything possible to help the people in this state. So this is no time to go back to the past. And I know Mr. Casey, I mean, he was a fixture in Washington for a long time, and I like how people, you know, revamp themselves. I'm still trying to revamp myself as a 25-year-old sex symbol. You know, this is no time. This is no time to go back, to turn the corner and go back to a bygone period. And John Kasich is not going to bring us together. He's not going to fight for working people. He's not going to fight for those who've lost their jobs, those who are trying to go to college, those who are trying to feed their children. He will fight for only the special interests. Take a look at the money that's poured into the state from the special interests. They are here to distort, to divide, and to distract us from the problems that we all have and know about and want to solve. And the one thing I learned being in Washington, D.C., these past couple of months under President Obama, is that they're not trying to solve problems. They're just trying to regain power so that they can determine what jobs will be outsourced across the world, determine what Americans will receive health care, and they want to repeal all of the hard things that we fought for so long. So I want to say two things. One, we keep hearing about this so-called enthusiasm gap. And there's an enthusiasm gap. Some people are just not really excited about voting in the midterm election. and they don't see enough, buzz. They don't see enough, hope. They don't see enough, of what they want. And they only believe that the elections are important if we're voting for a president. No, it's important when you're voting for a governor, when you're voting for a senator, and when you're voting to send people to Congress who believe in working together to solve everyday problems for the American people. This is one of the most consequential elections of our lifetime. This election will have major consequences for all of us, every last one of us, be it a student, a homemaker, a teacher, a laborer, you name it. This election has consequences. This is not an election where we need to play, well, if I could or would or should have. No, this is an election where if you have a vote, you have to go out and cast it. You have to talk it up. And you need to tell everybody why you're voting. Because we got to start telling people why we're voting. And not be ashamed. I am voting because I want America to continue to move forward in the 21st century. I am voting so that the economic progress that we were promised will be economic progress that will help feed our children and our families for the future. I am voting because as a woman, I am no longer going to get kicked off my insurance if I'm a victim of domestic violence. I get emotional when I talk about health care because my mother at 52 died. She didn't have to die. But she died because when she got sick, she had no health care. She worked every day of her life. Got sick, couldn't afford to go to the doctor. By the time she got to the emergency room when most people without health insurance, they get there and it's over. 52. She never got to see her kid run her mouth on TV. I know. 2 years ago, when I went out and was crisscrossing the country, I was 48 and I was younger. Now. And I would tell people why we had to vote for Obama. And at the time, I said, you know what? Because my dad, who was 75, was sitting on the roof for 5 days waiting for his government to rescue him. It took the media and people calling the White House to get him rescued. I don't want to have a person in the White House that doesn't understand that when the rivers overflow, when the levees fail, when people are standing on their roof stranded, you don't need to call. You need to just go and get them out. Well, my friends, today our fellow citizens are drowning.
That's right.
They're drowning in debt. They're drowning. They're drowning because they don't know if they're going to make it through the next pay period. And I don't want them to wake up on November 3rd and all they hear is that somebody who's dabbled in witchcraft I'll be nice because I'm standing next to you. I ain't going to say dabble in masturbation. I ain't going to say that. I want to make sure that they're not waking up to somebody who has pledged to repeal the minimum wage.
Yes.
Someone who has pledged to repeal the health care insurance. Someone who's pledged to repeal Wall Street common sense reform. Now, if we do nothing, if we act like this is just another election, then we're going to wake up to that. We're going to all be dabbling in something we don't want to dabble in. But I'm going to tell you this much. I'm out here. And when I leave here, I go to Colorado, and for some reason, they got a flight out of Colorado. They go to Bakersfield, and tomorrow I'm going to be with Sarah Palin and Dick Cheney and Carl Rover to debate. And I'm going as the only liberal because you know what? I'm not afraid of that.
No.
When all they're offering is more of the same reckless policies that has put our country in debt, then they sit on their hands and won't help. All they're promising is more of the same, dividing you from me, telling you that you're not good enough, creating a climate of hostility, of bullying, the vitriol. No, my friends. As long as Southwest, U.S. Air, anybody. I call them all Air Jesus. I never get confused when I'm flying, Jesus.
Hallelujah.
But as long as I have breath in my body, I'm going to fight. If for no other reason, some little girl, some little boy suffering with asthma or diabetes, some little boy, some little girl will be able to go to the hospital, will not get their insurance taken away from them. I'm going to fight because when we raised that minimum wage, it took us years, Joe. It took us years. And I'd be damned if I let somebody repeal that. I've made it simple. You know, Sarah Palin, Mama Grizzly, has handpicked her candidates. She got her Cubs. And no offense to those of you who like the Cubs. I'm just using a metaphor here. You all know I'm a saint. All right. But because Sarah Palin and Rush Limbaugh and Glenn Beck can handpick their candidate, doesn't mean that the rest of us have to cower over and say, okay. Hell no.
Right.
Hell no.
Right.
What have they done for us lately? What has Rush Limbaugh done for us lately? What has Sarah Palin done for us lately? What hard, tough, difficult thing have they ever taken on to help move America forward, to help ordinary working people? You know, my friends, I was born poor. My mom was a maid, my daddy a laborer. He was a janitor, he was a laborer. He still joined the union. He retired in the union. Down in Louisiana, that's hard. But my uncles worked at Avondale Shipyard in the union. That's my stock. That's who I am. I've never forgotten that. I will never forget growing up on Fillmore Street between the levee that would fail and the train that would sometime fall off the track. But that's where they put poor people. There was no Wall Street near me. There was no Main Street near me. There was a railroad track, and it divided us. My friends, I've never forgotten the people who live on the other side of the railroad tracks. They're the ones who always forgotten their re-election season. But they're the ones that we stirred hope in 2008. You stirred hope in them. You created the dynamics of change that they believe in. It is up to you to remember them and go back and get them out and let them know change is still going to come, and say, oh yes it will. I love you. God bless you. God bless you. Thank you so much. Thanks so much. Thank you so much. God bless you. God bless you. I'm thinking y'all down because on election night, all I'm going to do is blow y'all a big
That's what I'm talking about.
Anderson, he's no longer my boo.
Yeah.
So it's Donna and Victor, you take all those contests, you got Miss History, and you know, I was Miss Buckeye State, so I just thank you. I make my claim to Dallas. Bye-bye. Thank you, Dan. Keep up the great work, and thank you, Joe, for everything.
You're going to take a real quick picture.
Okay.
You're right here.
Okay.
Email it to me.
Let's go to video, actually.
Where's Joe? Come right here. This one. Come here, Joe.